Hello aspirants, as we have already committed to you that we will be coming with the 30 days plan for UPSC CSE 2022 prelims. And as we have said, we will come with 30-day plan and that will aptly suit you to crack your UPSC prelims. And today we are here with Polity topic 1, that is silent features of the Constitution. See, in this topic we'll be discussing the outcome of our constitution somewhat after it was adopted. First, from which countries we have taken or adopted some of the amendments or some of the documents. Then we'll be discussing about the parts of the constitution and also the nature of the constitution that is already enacted in our country. Okay, so to begin with, let me start with the important features. Before that, let me introduce that the 42nd amendment of the Indian Constitution that was held on 1976, also known as mini constitution. It is the fact number 1 because a lot of amendments have been done in that. Case 1 on the Bharti case, one of the landmark case in which SC ruled constituent power of parliament doesn't allow it to change the basic structure of the constitution. Now here comes the first question, what is basic structure, sir? See, we'll be discussing about the basic structure in the later part of the series and we'll be discussing in very great detail so that you can easily take out the answer in your examination hall. Okay. So the important features of the constitution is, we have the one of the lengthiest constitution that is also a written constitution. Okay, we have the lengthiest and written constitution. It consists about 470 articles and 12 schedules in total. Dominance of legal luminaries in the constituent assembly and also single constitution for both center and the states. We do not have separate constitution for the state and for center. Okay, now as I have already told to you that we'll be discussing from which our constitution has been drawn. There are a lot of acts, lot of countries are over there in the world from which our constitution has been derived. The first source is Government of India Act of 1935. We have borrowed the federal scheme, not completely, but we have borrowed the federal scheme, Governor's Office, Judiciary, Public Service Commission, emergency provisions and administrative details. Number 2, British Constitution. We have derived lot of things from British Constitution, that is parliamentary government, rule of law, single citizenship, cabinet system, parliamentary privileges, bicameralism and prerogative rights. See, all these basic things in one sentence we can say that we do have mainly derived the parliamentary form of government in which all these things are a feature. Okay, we have derived from US Constitution what things are drawn: fundamental rights, independent judiciary, impeachment of president, judicial review and removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges and post of vice president. Okay, so if the question comes that from which constitution or from which document we have derived, we have drawn up the post of vice president, we have to take US Constitution. We have also derived one very important concept in our constitution, that is DPSC from Irish Constitution, the Constitution of Ireland, and also the method of election of members of Rajya Sabha and also president. See, we are talking about the methods of election of president and members of Rajya Sabha, that is indirect election, as we have discussed and we will be discussing in the next classes, that there are 2 types of election, that is direct and second one is indirect. Okay. Then we do have Canadian Constitution. Canadian Constitution has been the source of our constitution in 4 ways. That is federation with a strong center, vesting residuary power to center, appointment of state governors by the center and advisory jurisdiction to the Supreme Court. Okay. Then we do have Australian, Weimar, that is of Germany, USSR, French, South African, Japanese Constitution. Students, see, these are the factual information and you have to by heart it, because now and then UPSC may ask you that from which constitution particular things have been drawn up. Okay, so let's talk in detail. Australian constitution, that is concurrent list and joint sitting of both houses of parliament. Okay, concurrent list, very important, and joint sitting of both the houses. Weimar constitution, suspension of fundamental rights during emergency, that is from Germany. You can you can easily remember by mnemonic that in Germany there was a Hitler, and Hitler means emergency situation, sort of emergency situation, and that is also suspension of fundamental rights. See, we can make our own tricks, we can make our own hacks to mug up the things or by heart it, because it's a factual data and you have to go through it. French constitution, see, French people are known for republic, ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. Okay, so very simple. South African, there is procedure of amendment of the constitution and election of members of Rajya Sabha. Okay, the procedure of amendment, not how amendment, why amendment is done and the basic features, amendability, but in fact the procedures of amendment of the constitution and election of members of Rajya Sabha. See, the procedure of election of Rajya Sabha members, you can see we have already discussed in Irish constitution, but here the election of members of Rajya Sabha is derived from South Africa. So you have to not get confused. Nomination from Canada and then procedure and the election process from South Africa. Then Japanese constitution, we have taken the procedure established by law. There is two sort of law, and in which we follow the procedure established by law from Japanese constitution. Okay, now see, we have also taken lot of parts of constitution from different documents. Let's see. The structural part of the constitution is derived from Government of India Act 1935. Okay, the philosophical part of the constitution is derived from, again, American and Irish constitution. The political part of the constitution is derived from British constitution. So you have to not get confused. This table is very, very important. If someone asks the structural part, then we do have the structure is very simple, derived from Government of India Act 1935. Philosophical part is derived from American and Irish constitution respectively, because you can say the first light of democracy came from those constitution. Political part, that is, I have already told you that parliamentary sort of constitution is all totally framed on British constitution. Okay, so let's go ahead. See, there comes a lot of questions, sir. Is our constitution rigid or flexible? See, you have to think very wisely. Is it really a rigid? No. A lot of amendments can be done. Is it really very flexible? No, because a lot of things cannot be undone. So, what we can say in case of rigidity and flexibility, please note it down very carefully, is neither rigid nor flexible. Instead of saying it is rigid and flexible, we should say neither rigid nor flexible. Okay, this is very important. And one more thing, we also have a federal system with unitary bias. What is unitary bias, sir? Unitary bias means strong center. Okay, see, in the previous seconds I have already told that federal scheme is derived from Government of India Act. So you have to not forget this very important information. And the federation with a strong center is derived from Canadian Constitution. This is very important. The scheme is derived from Government of India Act 1935, but the strong center sort of system has been derived from Canadian Constitution. This is the basic detail you have to cover, and that will help you to gain marks. Okay. Now, the features of federation system, what does this mean? Because we are discussing about the salient features of our constitution. So here comes the question, the features of the federation system. See, there must be two government, division of powers, written constitution, bicameralism, supremacy of constitution, and lot more things makes a complete federation of federation system in our country. Okay, features of unitary system. See, we do have a federation in our country, then we do also have a unitary system. We follow both, and both features should be very much aptly in your mind. And see, for this you have to understand this table very wisely. This table is very important for you. See, in federation system we talk about two government, division of power, but in unitary we talk about the government in which the center is strong. There should be a single constitution, there should be a single citizenship and integrated judiciary, okay, and also an all India service along with the emergency provision which must be applied, or you can say it must be announced from the center. Okay, so let's go ahead. The parliamentary form of government, we do have a parliamentary form of government. The Indian constitution has preferred British parliamentary system of government to American presidential system of government. Okay, here comes the question, sir, what is American presidential system of government and what is British parliamentary system? See, we will be discussing again in detail, but in the later part, so stay tuned. Features of parliamentary form of government are, see, the features are over here. Presence of nominal and real executives. For example, you have prime minister, the real one, and the president as a nominal. See, in a lot of countries, you must have heard about the emperorship. This is what it talks about, the nominal and real executive. The rule of majority party, okay. Leadership of the prime minister or the chief minister, again, one which is directly elected, because you go and cast your vote for a particular post. You do not cast your vote for president, but you do, but in an indirect way. Membership of the ministers in the legislature, and also the dissolution of lower house Lok Sabha. Achha, here we use the word dissolution. What does this mean? This means that after a fixed tenure, the lower house, that is the common house, we used to say, should be dissolved. Okay? Because that is also a very important feature of democracy. Synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. The sovereignty of parliament is associated with the British parliament. Okay? But the judicial supremacy is associated with the American system. Students, you have to again be very much attentive listening this. When we talk about the sovereignty of parliament, we talk about British parliament. The system, overall the system, the features from which our constitution has drawn up the documents, okay, the rules, the regulations. But when we talk about the judiciary, then we have to think of the American system. The framers of the Indian constitution have preferred a proper synthesis between the British principle of parliamentary sovereignty and the American principle of judicial supremacy. See, the Supreme Court in America is very, very strong, and the parliament in British government is very strong. So we have opted both the better things, okay, in our country, and we do have both the things smoothly running in our country. Integrated and independent judiciary, very important topic. Integrated and independent judiciary. What does this two word means? Integrated and independent judiciary. See, the Supreme Court stands out at the top of the integrated judicial system in our country, followed by the high courts, then subordinate courts, and the other lower courts. Okay, this is what integration means. And what is independent judiciary? The Supreme Court is highest court of appeal, that is appellate jurisdiction, the guarantor of the fundamental rights of the citizens, and the guardian of the constitution. The guardian of the constitution. In our family, always when we have a problem, we go to guardian. In our country, when do we have a problem, we go to Supreme Court. Not always, but we do go to Supreme Court, and we do have our faith, our belief in judicial system. Okay, now the fundamental rights. Part 3rd of the Constitution guarantees 6 fundamental rights. Previously, it was 7, but one is scrapped later. We are guaranteed 6 fundamental rights to the citizens. What are those? Right to equality, that will be taken in much detail, Article 14 to 18, then right to freedom, 19 to 22, then we do have right to exploitation, 23 and 24, then right to freedom of religion, 25 to 28, then cultural and educational rights, 29 and 30, right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. If a fundamental right of any Indian citizen is violated, then aggrieved person can directly go to the Supreme Court, and this is what is the independence of the Supreme Court is all about, which can issue the writs of the habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. These are 5 writs guaranteed to us for the restoration of our rights. okay, by Supreme Courts if fundamental rights are or is violated. Okay, so fundamental rights are mentioned in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution, and it guarantees 6 fundamental rights. How are we going to learn? We will be learning by a very simple trick, a number game. 5, 4, 2, 4, 2, 1. 5, 4, 2, 4, 2, 1. Okay, see, right to equality in 5 articles, right to freedom in 4 articles, right against exploitation in 2 articles, again right to freedom of religion 4 articles, and culture and educational 2 articles, and then we do have right to constitutional remedies in 1 article. Okay, okay, so we do have 5 writs guaranteed by our constitution, that is habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. We'll be discussing what all are these. Then we do have DPSP, another very important segment mentioning part 4th of the constitution, the DPSP, that is directive principles of state policy. As the name suggests, directive principles of the state policy, मतलब राज्य को कहीं ना कहीं इन प्रिंसिपल्स को फॉलो करना चाहिए. What are those? The DPSPs are meant to promote the ideals of social and economic democracy. However, unlike the fundamental rights, very important line, however, unlike the fundamental rights, the DPSP, I'll highlight this, the directives are non-justiciable in nature. You cannot go to the court. They are non-enforceable. It's not mandatory. They must be, but they ought to be enforced by the courts for their violation. Okay, so now here is very important, very landmark case in Indian history of judicial system, that is Minerva Mills case, in which Supreme Court held that the Indian Constitution founded on the bedrock of the balance between FR and DPSP. See, you have to not go in the detail what is Minerva Mills case. You have to not go in which was the party, not that and that, but you have to make sure if someone asks you about the case, not someone, if the UPSC asks about the case in which the DPSP versus fundamental rights was discussed and Supreme Court held that it has the right balance, okay, then you should mention the Minerva Mills case. Fundamental duties added to the Constitution by 42nd Amendment, the mini Constitution, only after the recommendation by Swan Singh Committee. Okay, remember this committee. We'll be discussing a lot of committees and commissions in later part. The 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, do not get confused by Citizenship Amendment Act, it's Constitutional Amendment Act 2002, added one more fundamental duty, that duties are also non-justiciable in nature. Okay. A secular state, the term secular was added to the preamble of Indian Constitution by 42nd Amendment in 1976. The Indian Constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is giving equal respect to all religions or protecting the all religions equally. See, I have to make you people very sure what does this secularism means. See, how many kinds of secularism can you see or can you think of? First, a country where there is one religion as a state religion. For example, Pakistan, okay, it has Islam as a state religion, okay. Then you do have some Gulf countries as well. Okay, so another next very important feature is universal adult franchisee. Okay, universal adult franchisee talks about the age at which the vote is casted. See, we all have very important Constitutional Amendment Act regarding to the universal adult franchisee, that is 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, that is of 1988, in which the year of casting vote from 21 was reduced to 18. It was done in Rajiv Gandhi era. The single citizenship enjoy the same political and civil rights of citizenship all across the country, no matter what, in whichever state or territory of India you are. Okay, see, a lot of independent bodies are over there in our country, especially some of them are Election Commission, Comptroller and Auditor General, UPSC and State Public Service Commission. See, why these bodies are important? Because for free and fair running of system in our country is these bodies are envisaged by the and also have the back protection from the constitution. Another very important feature is emergency provisions. See, we do have national emergency in Article 352. Then we do have state emergency or the president's rule, in which the issue can be of public order or not properly functioning of a state government. Then we do have Article 356 and 365. Also the financial emergency, that is in Article 360. See, Article 360 has never been applied in our country yet. During emergency, the federal structure converts into unitary one without a formal amendment of the constitution, or the central government becomes all powerful and all the powers of the state ceases. What does this mean? See, very important. We do have a strong center. A unitary form of government means the same. And when there is a provision of emergency in our country, the central government becomes all powerful. The all power of states are seized. There are three tiers government system in our country, and it in the 73rd Amendment and 74th Amendment of Constitution, especially in 1992, which added third tier of government, that is local, which is not found in any other constitution of the world. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment of 1992 gave constitutional recognition to the panchayats by adding a new part 9th and a new schedule 11 to the constitution. So you have to remember the part was 9 and the schedule is 11. Do not get confused. The schedule was 11 and the part is 9. So do not get confused. Okay. The constitution, the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992 gave constitutional recognition to the municipalities by adding the new part, that is 9th A, and a new schedule 12th to the constitution. Okay, so a new part was added for municipalities, that is 9th A, and new schedule, that is 12th. So we do have the cooperatives also in our country. The 97th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2011 gave a constitutional status and protection to cooperative societies. See, why do we needed the constitutional backing to the cooperative societies? Very important question. Why do we needed constitutional backing to the cooperative societies? See, in India is very vast, very diverse country. For everything we need a law, but implementation of law is also very important. In lot more cases, the constitutional bodies or the functions of the government may comes at an end before reaching the people. Before reaching the people, there comes the existence of the cooperative societies. And you know, in cooperative societies, people are financially, socially are backed, and they get empowered. So this was a long time revolution or revolt, or you can see a demand of the public to make it a constitutional backing. So cooperative society was given in 97th Constitutional Amendment of 2011. Very important. So highlight this, and you have to understand how important it was to make. It made the right to form cooperative societies a fundamental right, Article 19, and also added a new DPSP on promotion of cooperative societies, Article 43rd B, and also added a new part 9th B in the Constitution entitled as the Cooperative Societies. Article 243 to ZS to Article 243 ZT talks about it. And also, you know, the very new ministry, a current affair, it will be discussed in our current affair program. A very new ministry of cooperative societies is now under Amit Shah. Okay, students. Now we will be covering another very important part of the Constitution, that is the schedules of the Constitution. There are 12 schedules. Okay, there are 12 schedules: 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th. So how to remember all these? First of all, let's discuss. Then we'll try to figure out the mnemonic if possible. First, names of the states and their territorial jurisdiction, name of the union territory and their extent. Okay, first schedule. Then second schedule talks about the emoluments, allowances, privileges to President of India, government of states, speaker, deputy speaker, basically to the executives. Okay. Then third talks about the oaths and affirmation. Then fourth talks about the allocation of seats to Rajya Sabha to the states and UTs because it is also one of the very important tasks. Then fifth talks about the provisions related to the administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. The sixth schedule talks about the provision related to administration of tribal areas of the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. See, do not get confused whether Arunachal Pradesh or something like that. Only Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram, not Manipur even. Division of powers between the union and states in terms of union list, state list, concurrent list. It is discussed in 7th schedule, and then we have 8th schedule. It recognizes the languages by the constitution. Originally it was 14, now it is 22. 9th schedule talks about the acts and regulation of the state legislature dealing with the land reform, abolition of Jabandari system. This schedule was added by the first amendment that held in 1951. Very important, very, very important. So first amendment should be by heart. Then we do have 10th anti-defection law, which was added by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1985. And then we do have 11th related to panchayats. Schedule was added by 73rd. We have already discussed. And then we do have 12th. Again, we have discussed related to municipalities added by 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, here comes the question, sir, how to remember? We do have 12 big schedules, but we have to remember. So here is the helping mnemonic for you. Tiers of old PM. So let's discuss how this mnemonic related to the schedules of our constitution. T stands for the first and M stands for the 12th. Then we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay. We have already discussed about the first schedule. Now, first schedule talks about the territorial things. See, T. I have taken T from here. I'll highlight. It will be easy. Territories. So, T for territories. Then second schedule talk about the emoluments. Okay. Then E for emoluments. Now, the third schedule talks about the oaths and affirmation. So I have taken A for affirmation. Then fourth schedule talks about the Rajya Sabha. So I have taken R for Rajya Sabha. We have then fifth letter. Fifth letter is S. So fifth schedule is all about scheduled tribe. I have taken S for scheduled tribes and scheduled areas. Then we have sixth letter, that is O, and O stands for other. See, you have to remember this. You have to remember this Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram as other states of O. Then we do have F for 7th schedule, and here we talk about the federal. F for federal, so we can talk about state and center, and it is also about the list that we have, that concurrent state and union. So it's about division of power. So division of power is all about federalism, federal character. Okay, then we do have OLDPM, O for official language, okay, in 8th schedule. Then we have L for land system, that is land reforms. Then we have D for defection law, that is anti-defection law. Then we have P for panchayats and M for municipalities. So students, let me repeat once very quickly. Tiers of old PM. Let's sync with me. T for territories, then E for emoluments, E for affirmation, R for Rajya Sabha, S stands for scheduled areas and tribes, and O for official language. F for federal character, that means division of powers, that here we discuss in 7th schedule, that is union list, state list, and then we have concurrent list. O for again official language in 8th, then L for the land reforms in 9th schedules, and the D means anti-defection law in 10th schedule. Then we do have P as Panchayats and M for municipalities, later added by 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1992 and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1992. So, this was the first topic we have covered in polity section in 30-day program. Now here, discuss the very important previous year question or the prelim based question. It will be a practice for you. And we do have a bunches of questions, approx 20 questions. We'll be discussing 2 questions and rest 18 will be your homework. So, you have to do it right now, today itself, and answer it tonight. So, the first question is the ninth schedule. We have already learned the mnemonic, the tiers of old PM. Okay? The ninth schedule was introduced by the Constitution of India during the Prime Ministership of. So, let us remember what was the ninth schedule. The ninth schedule discuss all about the, let's remember, L. Okay, so L means land reforms. So you must be knowing land reforms means abolition of Zamindari system. It was taken or drafted under first Constitutional Amendment Act and the Prime Minister was Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, now here comes the second question. Under which schedule of the Constitution India can transfer the tribal land to private parties for mining be declared null and void? Very, very, very easy question, because in question itself it has talked about tribal land. Scheduled. So which schedule talk about the tribals? We have already discussed. It was in fifth schedule. Sorry, I am taking it ninth. It was discussed in fifth. So the correct answer is fifth schedule. See, what was in fifth schedule? Fifth schedule talk about the protection of the scheduled tribes and scheduled areas. It must not be like you can do mining, you can just cut down the forest, or you can develop urban settlement over there. It was all protected, and the overall look after was given to the responsibility to the governor, and even the governor has to make a monthly report and report it to the president. So union has to direct to the state to administer this area, and it is all written in fifth schedule of the Constitution. Okay, so we do have the rest 18 question, and it will be your homework. So we'll be meeting again tomorrow in new topic. Okay, thank you.